In this video, I want to talk about the deeper things women secretly notice within the first 5 minutes of meeting you, the psychological cues that quietly shape attraction before a man even realizes the interaction has started. If you're ready, let's jump into it. Welcome to the channel. Remember to look around. I've got a great catalog of videos that would help coach you on understanding women better in love and relationships. Women notice how quickly you lose yourself around beauty. One of the first things women notice is whether you stay emotionally grounded around attractive women or whether you start slowly unraveling the second attraction enters the room. I mean, for the most part, you'll see a guy who's completely normal 1 minute, relaxed, funny, and suddenly a beautiful woman walks in and now it's like he's auditioning for a role. His laugh gets louder, his voice changes, he starts talking too much, and the woman notices it almost immediately. It's more instinctive. Women can feel when a man suddenly stops being himself and starts performing. That energy changes the entire interaction. You see, attraction isn't about showing a woman how much you like her. In fact, when it comes too early, too intensely, it creates emotional pressure instead of attraction. Have you ever met someone who needed you to like them almost immediately? You can feel it. It's heavy. You start feeling responsible for their emotions without them even saying anything directly. That's exactly what happens when a man becomes emotionally consumed by a woman too quickly. And women are sensitive to that shift. We can feel it. Sometimes men think they're being confident because they're putting themselves out there, right? But confidence isn't necessarily intensity. Real confidence has patience in it. A secure man doesn't feel like he's trying to force chemistry into existence. He's simply present enough to see if the connection naturally develops. That's why some men become more attractive the longer you're around them. There's no rush in their energy, no emotional grasping, no silent desperation hiding beneath the interaction he's having with you. And honestly, women relax around men like that. Women notice whether your confidence needs witnesses, so men don't actually have confidence. What they have is performance, because performance confidence only works when the environment that he finds himself in keeps feeding it. Real confidence is much quieter than you realize. You'll see some guys walk into a room and instantly start managing everybody's attention. They need to be the funniest guy, the loudest guy, the most impressive guy, the guy everybody's reacting to. Now, at first that can feel and look charismatic, but after a while, something about it just starts to feel forced, because underneath that charm is low-key anxiety. The anxiety of needing constant confirmation that they matter. For example, have you ever seen a guy completely change when he's no longer the center of attention? Maybe another confident man walked into the room. Maybe a woman he liked started talking to someone else. Maybe people stopped reacting to his jokes as much as they did when he first started. And suddenly his energy will shift. He'll interrupt more, talk louder, start bragging. You know, he tries harder to dominate the entire conversation. Needs to reestablish himself socially. Now, what happens is that reaction tells women something. It says, this man's confidence is dependent on external validation. And honestly, that kind of confidence feels unstable. Because if a man constantly needs attention to feel secure or validated, then eventually the relationship becomes emotionally exhausting. The woman will start to feel like she has to constantly feed his ego. And a lot of men do this in ways they don't even realize. One of the biggest signs of insecurity is when a man can't emotionally relax unless he's being admired. You see this online a lot. Some people genuinely don't know how to exist without external feedback. Likes, attention, approval, reaction, validation, you name it. Without it, they start to feel invisible. And unfortunately, some guys bring that same energy into dating. They're not connecting with a woman, they're performing for approval. And that's why some interactions just feel weirdly exhausting. Even when the guy seems to be saying all the right things, a lot of women will be able to tell straight away that he's trying to extract validation from the interaction instead of simply experiencing it. And it's a turnoff. Women notice how safe your ego feels. A woman is not just paying attention to whether you're confident, she's also paying attention to what happens when your confidence gets challenged. Because there are some men who seem attractive at first until their ego gets completely bruised. Example, when a woman lightly teases a man, not disrespectfully, just, playful teasing. Sometimes maybe she'll joke about his music taste, or she laughs at how serious he is, or maybe she disagrees with him on something really, really minute, small, right? A secure man will roll with that, smile back, tease back, keep the energy light, fun, interactive. But an insecure ego reacts differently. This guy would suddenly become tense, defensive, passive-aggressive, condescending, cold. And a woman will pick up on that really quick, and it will feel like she has to manage his emotions carefully from that point forward. And that will change the entire emotional experience of being around him, because now she's no longer relaxed. She's thinking, look, if this is how he reacts to something small, what will happen during actual conflict? And that matters. A lot of attraction for women comes down to emotional safety. And emotional safety is heavily connected to ego stability. Can this man handle discomfort without emotionally punishing people around him? That's the real question. Because some men only feel good when they feel admired, obeyed, agreed with, or in control. The second that changes, their behavior changes too. And women are extremely sensitive to these emotional shifts. Trust me, you'll see it happen in subtle ways all the time. A woman mentions another guy casually, and suddenly the man gets weird. His tone starts to change. His energy becomes colder. He starts subtly competing, making dismissive comments, trying to regain dominance socially. And honestly, women pick that up. And it's not because we expect you to feel nothing, but insecurity just has a very specific emotional texture to it. It feels tense, reactive, possessive, emotionally unsafe. Another example is when a man feels intimidated by a woman he's attracted to. So he starts trying to humble her. And this happens more than people think. Let's say the woman is confident, she's attractive, educated, socially skilled, and instead of simply appreciating her for who she is, an insecure man starts taking shots at her. Little digs. Now what he's doing is making backhanded compliments, acting unimpressed on purpose, trying to lower her confidence, subtly criticizing things that don't need criticism. And you see, when you start to do that, she understands exactly what's happening. He feels small internally, so he's trying to emotionally level the playing field. If that's your approach, you're going to destroy attraction fast. A secure man doesn't need every interaction to reinforce superiority. He's not constantly fighting to preserve an image. That's exhausting. And ironically, the men who feel the safest emotionally for women are usually the men women trust the most, because their ego is not sitting there like dry gasoline waiting for a spark. They're grounded. They know exactly who they are, and they don't need to impress anybody. Women notice whether you're actually present. You'll see a guy sitting across from a woman on a date, but mentally, he's somewhere else entirely. He's inside his own head the whole time. Should I flirt more? Did that joke land? Am I talking too much? What should I say next? Should I touch her hand now? So instead of experiencing the conversation naturally, he's constantly monitoring himself like a nervous actor, trying not to forget his lines, and the interaction starts feeling emotionally disconnected because basically his attention is split. We can feel when a man is not fully with us mentally and when he's trapped in performance mode, so to speak. That's why sometimes a man can technically say all the right things and still not feel attractive emotionally. The conversation feels robotic, calculated, overmanaged, like he's trying to execute attraction instead of actually connecting with a woman in front of him. Meanwhile, another guy may flirt less, may talk less, may still create way more chemistry simply because he's genuinely present in the moment. Most people today are overstimulated, distracted, anxious, performing, proving, scrolling, seeking validation, or trying to control how they're perceived. You see, but presence isn't just physical. A lot of men are physically there while mentally chasing approval the entire time. And we often connect more deeply with men who are simply experiencing the moment instead of obsessing over where the interaction is headed. And you see, we can absolutely feel the difference between a man who's curious about us and a man who's trying to make us like him. Those two energies create completely different emotional experiences. Trust me, one feels grounding and the other just feels transactional. Women notice the emotional weight you bring into the interaction. A lot of guys focus almost entirely on external behavior. What to say, how to text, how to flirt, how to sound confident, how to appear attractive, etc. And it's not so bad, but women are often responding less to your words and more to the emotional atmosphere around you. And emotional atmosphere is hard to fake. You can memorize confidence techniques all day long, right? But underneath all that, if you're carrying resentment, desperation, loneliness, bitterness, anger, or emotional exhaustion, it eventually leaks into your behavior. Not always consciously, but emotionally. For example, some men walk into interactions already emotionally defeated, so you can hear it in their tone, you can see it in their reactions, you can feel it in their energy. They're expecting rejection before anything happens. So now every small thing becomes emotionally loaded. If she's responding slowly, it means she's losing interest. If she's distracted for a moment, it means she doesn't respect him. If she disagrees, it feels to him like it's rejection. And worse, if another man enters the picture, he immediately feels threatened. And in that instance, what the woman experiences is pressure, not connection. Because you see, emotionally wounded people often unknowingly place emotional responsibility on others. You'll see this a lot with men who are deeply lonely but haven't dealt with it internally. The second they meet a woman they're attracted to, they emotionally attach way too fast. Now the interaction starts carrying invisible weight. He barely knows her, but mentally he's already imagining a future, already afraid of losing her, already overanalyzing every interaction. And women feel how quickly the emotional intensity escalates. That will and can become overwhelming extremely fast. A man may act alpha on the surface while secretly radiating fear of abandonment underneath, And eventually those cracks will start to show. Oh, and I need to address this. A lot of men consume so much negative relationship content online that they actually start interacting with women like they're emotionally preparing for war. Now, every interaction will just feel guarded, suspicious, adversarial. Resentment changes how you emotionally experience people, and honestly, this is why inner work matters more than most men realize. Because you see, your unresolved emotional patterns eventually become visible in your dating life, whether you intend them to be or not. For example, a man who secretly feels unworthy usually overcompensates. If he feels terrified of abandonment, he usually becomes clingy or controlling. If he carries deep anger, he becomes passive-aggressive or emotionally hard. A man addicted to validation also becomes draining. These things leak into your tone, your pacing, your body language, reactions, eye contact, even the way you text, jealousy, emotional intensity, and overall your presence. And women pick up on all those cues. That's why attraction is not just about appearance or game, it's also about emotional regulation. And that's something for you to ponder on. I hope you found this video helpful and insightful. If it did help you in any way, please smash that like button to let me know and subscribe to the channel. There's more where this came from. Catch you in the next video. Cheers.